Hi, hello guys, I hope you all are doing well this month of December. So driving to the right side of the road or to the left is part of traffic regulations, and that is why we have experienced, or rather we have seen drivers being pulled over to this roadside by traffic policemen for allegedly driving on the wrong side of the road. But have you ever thought the reason as to why some countries keep to the left and others keep to the right? Insight with Pape Masa today lets you into the reason as to why some countries observe the right-hand traffic and others observe the left-hand traffic. And what is even more amazing is that all this is linked to the colonial period. According to statistics, most countries of the world subscribe to the right-hand traffic, which is about 2/3 of the world's countries and territories, and I am here to unravel why and how this is the case. It is commonly known that the side used by drivers affects the location of the steering wheel, for the norm is that the driver's seat is to be on the side of the road's center line. Driving on the left predates the use of automotives and was common to the UK and most of its colonies. It all began in the Middle Ages and perhaps even further back to the ancient Greece and Rome. At the time, people traveled on horsebacks or by foot. There was always a constant risk of being attacked while on transit. Consequently, travelers carried swords and daggers to help keep the bandits away. Since most people were right-handed, they traveled on the left to keep their sword-fighting hand free in case of attacks. They kept to the left for the right arm would be close to the opponent. These also minimized the chance of the scabbard, which is one on the left, from hitting other people. Additionally, mounting and dismounting on the side of the road rather than the middle of the road seemed safer. Furthermore, in 1300 AD, Pope Boniface VIII declared that all pilgrims who were traveling to Rome had to keep to the left. So, why and how did the switch to the right ever happen? Travelers kept to the left until the French Revolution happened. It will be absurd to speak of the French Revolution without mentioning Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon, popularly known as Napoleon I, was a French military leader and emperor who conquered much of Europe in the early 19th century. He seized power in France in a 1799 coup d'etat and crowned himself emperor in 1804. He was a shrewd, ambitious, and skilled military strategist who successfully waged war against various coalitions on European nations. Napoleon was left-handed, and it is believed that riding on the right proved an intimidating military tactic. He preferred to ride on the right, as well as Adolf Hitler. In fact, Hitler forced Czechoslovakia and Austria to switch to the right-hand driving. However, since Britain resisted both Napoleon and Hitler, it never switched to the right. America was one of the European countries that didn't switch to the right. Although it started off riding on the left like in England, it had been keeping right since the colonial times. There was use of large wagons drawn by several pairs of horses at the time. The wagons had no driver's seats, so the driver sat on the horse at the rear left. Driving on the right was convenient, as the driver could see oncoming traffic. It also made it less likely to steer into a ditch. Though it was a pre-colonial practice, it was only until 1792 and 1804 respectively that Pennsylvania and New York regulated it, thus making it official. Many states emulated them, but the practice was cemented when Henry Ford put the Model T's steering wheel on the left-hand side of the car. The mass production of affordable cars had many countries changed their road rules to drive to the right. Meanwhile, in the UK, the massive wagons of the US weren't popular. Instead, vehicles in Britain were smaller and had seats for the drivers to sit on, just behind the horses. As most people are right-handed, the driver sat on the right side to keep his whip hand free. This ensured people kept left. Moreover, 18th century London saw the introduction of a traffic law that made all vehicles on London Bridge keep left. This was in an effort to reduce collisions. The rule was then incorporated into the Highway Act of 1835 and was later adopted throughout the UK, making left-hand driving mandatory in Britain. The 20th century saw an attempt to harmonize road laws in Europe. This led to a shift in right-hand driving. However, the UK wasn't affected by this. Today, more countries drive to the left and observe the left-hand traffic. Switches have also been experienced in several countries and territories. Currently, 3 countries are known for switching from right to the left. Okinawa is one example of such territories. Okinawa was controlled by the US after World War II and was made to drive on the right. It, however, switched back to the left on July 30th after it was returned to Japan. Timor-Leste is the second. Timor-Leste switched to the left on the Indonesian roll of 1975. Samoa is the third statistic. It switched to the left in 2009 so as to stop importing US expensive cars. To affect the changes, Samoa got a 2-day national holiday to ease traffic and a 3-day ban on alcohol to deter accidents. It was manageable because they had a relatively small population of about 180,000 people at the time. So, what will happen for a country with a large population? Sweden is an example of such a country. Sweden switched from left to right in 1967. Sweden had a population of 7.8 million people. There was a lot to prepare. Road markings were repainted, bus stops were relocated, intersections on streets were redesigned, street signals, about 360,000, had to be changed. At exactly 5 a.m. on September 3rd, Swedes were directed to switch over to the right. The whole operation cost 628 million krona. That is more than $400 million today. This means that if a country was to consider switching to either directions, it has to consider the cost to be incurred. Now you know. Kenya drives on the left because it simply or mainly is a British colony.